Hello everyone. In this video, we will discuss the term Reader Response Criticism. Introduction. Reader Response Criticism is a multifaceted approach that centers on the process of reading a literary text and the role of the reader in shaping its meaning. Rather than viewing a work as a fixed and self-contained structure of meanings, reader response critics emphasize the ongoing mental operations and responses of individual readers as they engage with the text. This critical mode emerged in the 1960s and has since become a prominent aspect of both American and European literary criticism. Traditional literary criticism. In traditional literary criticism, a work was often considered as a complete entity with objective meanings, and its analysis focused on identifying various elements such as plot, characters, style, and structure. Reader response critics, however, challenge this notion and propose that the meaning of a text is not solely determined by its intrinsic features but also depends on the subjective experiences and interpretations of the readers. One of the fundamental ideas in reader response criticism is that the meanings of a text are produced or created by individual readers to a considerable degree. Consequently, there is no single correct interpretation that applies universally. Rather, the process of reading involves diverse kinds of expectations, responses, and interactions between the reader and the text. Various forms of reader response criticism. Wolfgang Iser's Phenomenological analysis. Iser applies Roman Ingarden's phenomenological analysis of the reading process to individual literary works, particularly prose fiction. He argues that while the literary text particularly controls the reader's responses, it also contains gaps or intermediate elements that readers must fill in through creative participation. Reading, for Iser, is a dynamic process of anticipation, frustration, retrospection, and satisfaction. French structuralist criticism. This approach, as proposed by Jonathan Culler, focuses on the conventions, codes, and rules that structure the reading experience for competent readers. It emphasizes the interplay between literary conventions and the partially creative activity of interpretation. Roland Barthes and deconstruction. Barthes encourages a mode of reading that allows for multiple alternative meanings in a text. Deconstruction, influenced by post-structuralism, subverts the idea that interpretation is controlled by fixed linguistic and literary codes. It highlights the play of differences that generate countless, contradictory, but undecidable meanings. American proponents. American reader response critics challenge the new critical claim of a self-sufficient work with publicly available meanings. They exclusively focus on the reader's responses but differ in their approaches. David Bleich emphasizes the subjective process of reading, while Norman Holland and Harold Bloom adapt psychoanalytic concepts to analyze reader responses. Stanley Fish's affective stylistics. Fish presents reading as a temporal flow of experience that involves anticipating and fulfilling expectations. He contends that readers' mistakes are an integral part of the text's meaning, and there can be no universally determinate interpretation. Interpretive communities. Fish later introduces the concept of interpretive communities, each with its own reading strategy and assumptions. The meaning of a text becomes relative to the conceptual scheme of a specific community, and no universal right reading exists. The influence of culture and ideology. In recent years, reader response critics have increasingly considered the historical and cultural context in which readings take place. They examine the extent to which responses to literature are influenced by readers' ideologies, biases, and assumptions about race, class, and gender. Conclusion: reader response criticism brings attention to the dynamic and subjective nature of the reading process, highlighting the interplay between the text and the reader's consciousness. The multifaceted approach of this critical mode allows for diverse and sometimes contradictory interpretations of a literary work. While acknowledging the role of the text in shaping responses, reader response critics maintain that the meanings of a text are, to a significant extent, co-created by individual readers. So this was the discussion on the term reader response criticism. We will meet in the next video and discuss some other term. Until then, goodbye and thank you. Hello everyone. Welcome to this series on literary terms and literary theory. If you want to study the notes and MCQs related to this term, you can click the link given in the description. We are also going to start our online and offline classes for UGC NET for English literature very soon. So stay connected with us.